Appreciate you
No doubt, no doubt.
for the great job that you do. All right, y'all like and share this because we're going to have a hot show today. Facebook, like, and share. Remember, November the 8th is election day. You see, I got my vote on because I've already voted by absentee ballot. And the ballot is very, very, very long. And if you're having an issue and with the ballot, you can give me a call, 810-275-5339, 810-275-5339, 810-275-5339.
Gospel music. It is 1420 AM WFLT. You're live on the air from Deacon Dumas.
Thank you. Good morning to our Facebook friends and WFLT listening radio audience. This is Deacon AC Dumas, and I'm saying how delighted I am to be here. Just one day, another day the Lord have allowed us to be here. Before we get started, let us bow in a word of prayer. Our Father and our God, we do thank you for this new day that you have made. And you have commanded that we rejoice and be glad in it. So we thank you for the day. And we're rejoicing because our beds could have been our cooling boards on last night. But you let our golden moments roll on. And we thank you. Bless the station, bless this broadcast, and bless our guests. In Jesus' name, amen. Again, radio audience, good morning. And I want to say that on today's show, I have my special guest, 6th Ward Councilperson, Tonya Burns. Good morning, Councilperson Burns.
Good morning, Deacon Dumas, and good morning, Nikki, and thank you for having me.
Well, listen, you can call me AC, and I'm going to call you Tonya. You know, we're going to roll that way this morning. My enemies call me a whole bunch of other names, but you can call me AC, Deacon, I don't mind. Listen, I want to say this, that I want to put a warning out here that this broadcast may be a little troublesome to those who's listening and watching on Facebook, and it may not be appropriate for children under 18 years of age, and viewer discretion and hearer discretion is advised. I want to put that out there because on this morning, we want to talk about the 2 children that died at 637 West Pulaski Street. I think it was back in May 28th, 2022. And as many of you know, I was the first person that broke the story as far as to the public and Facebook, on my radio and Facebook. And I've been a starch fighter for the family and from myself and our staff and our friends and this community. We give this family our heartfelt sympathy and prayers as they continue to fight for the justice for those 2 children. Tonya, you're on the air, and tell us what's going on and what happened at City Council meeting because it was so long and I went to sleep. Tell us what happened. What did the City Council do on, I think it was Wednesday? Go ahead.
And it was a long meeting, but, 5 of the council members stayed to make sure that they heard the concerns of the family. And 5 council members voted to have an independent investigation for the fire for the 2 children, the Pulaski Street fires. And it's important that we say their names, Zaire and Lamar, because, they were 2 precious children. And those lives were taken by a fire. And 5 council members stayed. The other 4 left.
Tonya, before you get going there, and I just want to say I had my notes all written out and all on a flash drive that printed out, but something happened. I was going to mention their names. I'm glad you mentioned their names, but I do want to say this. We need to also name the 5 that stayed and the 4 that left of those council person who didn't think it enough. Those ones, 4 that left didn't think it was important enough, about the children. Who stayed and voted?
The five council members that stayed who voted was Jerry Winfrey Carter, Eric Mays, Judy Priestley, Dennis Pfeiffer, and myself.
Now, who left?
Allie Hookenroder, Liddell Lewis, Quincy Murphy, and Eva Worthing.
And let me say that those are the destructionists that sits on the council. I want to thank Judy Presley for sticking and staying with you all. But I guess the other four didn't think it was meaningful to deal with this situation. But go ahead, because we're on the air, and I want the radio audience, along with Facebook, to hear what you got to say.
Well, I think we have to set up. I know you've talked about it when you first brought it to me, I believe in June. And started looking, well, you gave me we talked about a few things, and then you received more information. And I think I finally emailed to get some information in August, and I didn't get it until, I believe, October. I got some in August and some in October. But what the question was about the fire when it happened. The children, how long were they left in the home? Why weren't they found in the fire? The family came to City Council with activist Arthur Woodson to get some answers this past week. And you had put it out there. You have been talking about, you spoke several times at council in regards to, justice for these children. She came this past Wednesday with activist Arthur Woodson to speak about what happened. It was hard for her to talk, and it was hard for me to listen, because she spoke about her drive over to the home when they called and told her to get to the house. Then before she made it, they told her to go to Hurley. And she's a young mother, and when you're talking about not one but two of her children, and the last time she saw them, what she said to them, we talked about it. If you saw the family and the support she had there, it's so important, because we don't treat Black lives like we do white lives. It's not the same. And it's even though we may know better, many communities don't do that. We can compare the fire in Grosse Pointe that happened, that Charlie LaDuff covered, and how the children, how they wanted answers, how they were treated. It was totally different treatment with Grosse Pointe as opposed to how Flint. We have got people, when it came in asking the question, when I read the report, and the report which has stated that the fire chief stated that he wanted them to be terminated, the two white firefighters to be terminated, and they weren't. Then it went on during that meeting, because it came out to ask the HR director, Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith, who gave the direction to, who gave the order to keep them, who made that decision. And it was going back and forth between Chief Barton he came in a little late, and Chief Fire Barton, and he stated that he was very clear, he never changed. He stated that they should have been terminated. And he put it in his written report. So not only did he state it, it was written, he left a document to state it. So when it came back, we asked again, we asked the HR director, he stated that he was told to go, that they had a verbal conversation, that they were going in a different direction. And I asked him who told him. He said, Mr. Kim. Councilman May stated at that point, he did a point of order. It's only one person who can make you go in a different direction higher than the city attorney, and that is Mayor Neely. So we talk about the family coming to find out what happened and what is a different direction when you have policy and procedure. There was a written order that was stated to terminate these two firefighters, and one ended up eventually he was able to resign. The second one got a refresher course. While a family buried two young kids. I've never seen nothing like that.
Well,
I've never seen where the city or any municipality did not follow the recommendation of a seasoned and valued and qualified fire chief. I've never seen it.
well, let me say this, Ms. Burns, and I wanted to make it absolutely clear that the two that were in violation that Chief Ray Barton wanted to fire were two white seasoned veteran firefighters. And the two that came into the house that rescued the babies were two black firefighters, and one of them was not a veteran firefighter, but they rescued the children and took them outside, but they had been in there for 6 minutes. And with that heat and that smoke, unfortunately, they didn't make it after being taken to down wherever they went, Ann Arbor, wherever the hospital, the university, after leaving Hurley. So I want to say that, but I do want to thank Chief Barton for the courage to write it in the report. Whatever he may or may not said at the council meeting, as the Bible said, it is written. So it's written in the point and also in the report. And I also want to thank those public servants who took an oath to protect and serve the residents of the city of Flint. But clearly, those two white firefighters, they were wrong. They should be criminally charged with gross negligence. They should be sued along with those who covered this up. And as you said, let me say this, the fire chief works at the pleasure of the mayor. And that's the only one that can give the fire chief or the police chief direction. So the direction came from Mayor Neely. He gave the direction to allow one to move on, as you would say, get another job. And he gave the other one a refresher course, And the people, these parents and family and the community want answers. You know, Tonya, the national news, I didn't know I was that important, but been emailing me and contacting me. And I gave them my phone number and told them to give me a call. The national news have picked this story up. The national news. But yet the local news won't say anything about it. I guess Ron Fonger from the M Live did a cursory story about it, you know. But we need to pray and fight for this family. I know also that the 5 that stayed and voted, they voted for some type of independent investigation or something like that.
That is correct. Because it's very clear during that meeting that we're not going to get information. I mean, it was like pulling hairs. They know, and no one wanted to just say, you know, who made that final decision. There's only one person who could. I mean, leadership stops at the top. It stops with the mayor. You know, the city attorney doesn't run the city. He doesn't run the city at all. And then the city attorney stated that he had, because I asked for the report, Attorney Kim stated that he has governmental immunity, that he doesn't have to share any documents with counsel, and it can't be FOIA. He's not his personal client. You're a public official, like I'm a public official, like the mayor's a public official. You don't own those documents. This isn't a criminal case, or if you think it's going to be a criminal case, it's not a good look. This is a good look. It looks like you're suppressing information. Now, how can you say you can't give me a document that's for your public job in a municipality because you have governmental immunity? Show me where it is in the charter that the city attorney has governmental immunity and he doesn't have to share. Show me where the attorney makes the final call to go in a different direction and give a verbal response. Show me where the city attorney can go to the city administrator and believe that he has got governmental immunity. I ain't never seen nothing like it.
Well,
just flying by the seat of their pants.
Tonya, let me tell you something. You know, gross negligence does not cover governmental immunity. Other words, if you are a police officer and you're going out shooting up folk, talking about, well, I got governmental immunity. No, when you make an illegal act, you're not covered by governmental immunity. And I don't even understand how this even pertains to what you were asking for. Now, you see, everybody got it. I got it. Everybody got it. I FOIA'd my stuff. I FOIA'd it from the Michigan State Police. I FOIA'd it from 911 Consortium. You know, so it's just a cover up. And, you know, I'm grieving, we're grieving for these families. Now, what type of investigation? I said all along that this should be turned over to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, and the Department of Justice, to their criminal division, because this is criminality right here. You know, I don't want to hear about you giving a $300 water credit out of the taxpayers' money, our money, for water we still don't drink, and our water bills going up. What I thought you would do, you would come and protect and search for the truth about what happened. And I want to thank the community activists and everyone, these fighters out there who's searching for the truth. Now, if you have a comment, just send your comment to 810 News Media Group, and he'll ask the question. But go ahead, continue, Tonya.
Well, you know, and I did get a lot of the documents, but the one document they are not giving me is the recommendation that the city attorney gave to the city administrator and to the mayor. Now, why are they not giving that up? Why are they not giving me the recommendation that the city attorney gave to the mayor and the city administrator? Because the chief is very clear. I read his report. It was thorough. Fire Chief Barber said they should be terminated. He stated that. I don't understand. So where does it get over, you know, going in a different direction? How do you go in a different direction? How do you force the fire chief to keep someone on his department that he wanted to terminate, that they met the criteria to terminate? How do you force the fire chief to keep someone on it? They have to keep be certified and keep their training, you know, their certification. You know, you have a person that, you know, make up a course, you know, the fire chief said, let him go, terminate him. That was his recommendation. If they had did everything that they put on that paper, on their documents, when they filled it out, what happened in the fire, then they would have found the children.
Well,
they added everything that they said they did. They would have found them.
And Tonya, let me say this.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry for interrupting. Let me say that those firefighters lied on a document sent to the for the investigation. They lied. But I also want to say this. It was said that Mayor Neely did not want it to come out because he was in a re-election bid to remain mayor of the city of Flint. And he did not want any of these negative news. But, you know, one thing I say about this, and I've always said this, that the lie has wings. It gets wherever it has to go very quickly. The truth has feet. It has to walk wherever it goes. But one thing about it, when a lie get there, you have to keep on propping it up. But when the truth get there, it can stand on his or her own 2 feet. And so the truth is standing on its own 2 feet on this morning. I want to say that it is an election cycle, November the 8th. And that's why I'm supporting Weaver for mayor. I'm letting them know now I'm supporting Weaver for mayor, because I believe that character, integrity, honesty, and truthfulness still matters in 2022. And shame on all those who, who agree with Rome. And I think it's going to be a great judgment day. And the scripture says not only will God get those who, I'm paraphrasing, that do wrong, but he's going to get everyone that agrees with wrong. If you, listen, Mick, if you rob a bank, well, the robbers are in the bank with the guns, but I'm in the getaway car. I'm gonna drive them when they rob the bank and get in the car. I'm just as guilty as though I was in the bank. Yes. And I want to tell all you listening, see, it really don't matter to me anymore. When you withhold and hold up for evil, you're going to get the judge, me and anybody else. We will receive the recompense of our reward. God is going to deal with us. He's going to deal with us down here. And be not deceived. God is not mocked. Whatsoever you sow, you shall also reap. See, you can't sow carrots and reap green beans. If you sow carrots, you're going to reap carrots. If you sow dishonesty, you're going to reap it. I want to put that out there. So August is a very, in November the 8th is a very special election to the residents of the city of Flint. Remember, elections are local first. Y'all want to run and vote for governor and president, you need to vote for your local leaders. You need to vote for the mayor, and I'm supporting Weaver, Karen Weaver. I voted for her first because I voted absentee ballot. I went and found Weaver's name, and I colored it in. Then I went for the school board. I colored those in. Then I went for, I voted for Dr. Pamela Pugh. I'm just telling you, that's a statewide election. So it's very important that we remember that election is very important. I think, Tonya, what about the opera money? When you know what? I want to say that I feel that I want to use the forms. I'm one of them 500-600 people that filled out the form, and I got my documentation where I went to the companies that gave me bids for the job for my home where I live. So when will the people get the blue tarps off their house? I see y'all doing a lot of stuff downtown, even on the bricks. They put some tar on the bricks so it wouldn't be so bumpy. When you go down ML King, Detroit Street, Jackson, all the side streets, you can't have a cup of coffee in your car because it's going to spill. What say you?
I do want to cover this, I just want to say this, because I know you started, when you brought this to my attention back in June. One of the things which is crucial in this investigation, which I hope to find out, we asked the question, were both of the rigs, the fire trucks there? When we talk about when the children were still in the home, when the second truck arrived and pulled the children out of the home. And one thing that we know, which came out, which is in the report, is that there were 6 minutes that lapsed. And if the brain goes 3 to 6 minutes without oxygen, then it causes brain damage. So those 6 minutes that those children were in there while fire trucks were outside, it's in the report, that's something that's crucial. So I read the reports. It took me a while to read them, and reading them, and you looking at, did these children get the best chance? Did we send our very best there? And I don't think it was easy for Fire Chief Barton to make a recommendation because he's short-staffed. But what he wasn't willing to do was keep on firefighters who weren't coming to Flint to fight the fires, to do their job. That's in the job description. Even if their equipment failed, they know how to if the apparatus failed, to use their hands to get in, to do search and rescue. They know how to do it. They didn't use their training. And so we look at that, those 6 minutes they were left in there, those 6 minutes were clearly clearly something that those children needed, and
Well,
they weren't given that.
Well, Tonya,
And I would like to know what they do when they went in the house. That's what I want to know. If they went in, what did they do when they went in?
well, it wasn't. It certainly wasn't a full scale search because you had 3 dogs in the basement. That's in the report. It was dogs in the basement. So if those 2 firefighters had went to the second floor, the first floor, and the basement, they would have found that not only did you have human lives up on the second floor, but you had 3 dogs in the basement. They didn't do their job. And I dare Mr. Neely and anybody else say and hide and cover this up. I don't care. It's a cover up. And that's why I say the FBI needs to come in. People say, well, they don't. Well, the council needs to ask the FBI to investigate and the Department of Justice to investigate. You can't trust certain elements of, I think it would be conflicting for the Genesee County to investigate. The Michigan State Police, I think, is conflicting because, the politics in it. But the United States Department of Justice and the FBI don't have that type of politics. I just want to say again that, November the 8th is election day. Take your souls and others to the polls and vote. I'm telling you, the ballot is long. The ballot is very, very long. Go get an absentee ballot. Take it home and vote it. And if you have some questions, I'll give out my phone number, 810-275-5339. 810-275-5339. Or you can email me at AC2, the number 2, DUMAS@yahoo.com. That's very easy. AC2, DUMAS@yahoo.com. And Tonya, I hope you'll stay with us a few more minutes so we can continue on.
Absolutely, I will.
On Facebook.
Your Facebook audience.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And so, listen, I want to thank you for coming. We're praying for that family that justice be done.
Yeah.
Justice be done. And to quote late Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, who said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. I'm from the baby boomers. I'm from the old school. And this nonsense has to stop. City of Flint, crime is up. We're paying for water we cannot drink. Our streets and blight. Blight is the order of the day. I got a call, I'm not going to get in that, but our streets are like a demilitarized zone. You can't drink a cup of coffee in a cup while you're driving. I tried it yesterday and it's spilled. And that's terrible. You go down Pearson Road. How long have those barrels been in Pearson Road? For a year. You can't, it's terrible. And to those council persons, Liddell Lewis, Quincy Murphy, Eva Worthing, and who was the other one that walked out?
Allie Hokenroder.
Allie Hokenroder, whatever her name is. And by the way, before I get off the air, I understand, the impetus to get rid of Inez Brown, and they used Quincy. He got used again.
Oh, well.
Allie Hokenroder, so I understand. We're going to cover that probably next week. Was the impetus that got rid of Inez Brown. And they used Quincy Murphy, as usual, to do it. Now, that's a shame. All right, I think we'll be off the air, but we're still live on Facebook until I hear the music from WFLT. What do you think about that, Tonya? That alleged rumor? It ain't alleged because, Street Talk, Street Talk know it before the regular people know it. What do you think? Have you heard anything or?
When it first came to council,
Oh, I turned her off accidentally.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, well, she's off, so I don't know how I can get it back on. But you know, I want to say that thank you, Tonya Burns. I think I can call back and she can call back in. Just yeah, I can call Tonya. Just wait a minute. I'm gonna call back and you can come back in. I'll put you back on the air. But meanwhile, while she's coming, I just want to let you all know that the election is coming up and it's important. I'm getting ready to put it back on the air, Facebook. Hang with me a little bit. Got any questions? Send them to 8.
Thank you for choosing freeconferencecall.com. You're helping people
All right.
around the world communicate for free. Please enter your access followed. If you are the host, please enter your PIN.
Right here.
Well, I think
Your
you.
input is invalid.
Okay, go ahead.
I got you. Don't worry. I got you. Hold on.
Okay, we're on Facebook.
Yeah, I got you. Here you go. You can.
All right, all right.
Just set it up there with you.
All right, Tonya, you here?
I'm here.
Okay, now let's go about. I was talking about Allie Hokenroder, one of the 3 Republicans that's on the Flint City Council. You got Allie Hokenroder, Priestley, who sits on the executive board of the Genesee County Republican Party, and Mr. Pfeiffer. Those are the 3 Republicans that sit on the council that Black folk voted for in office. Now, I heard, and I just heard this on yesterday, that it was Allie Hokenroder and others that put forth an effort to get rid of Miss Inez Brown through the agent of Quincy Murphy. I understand this is what I heard, so I'm gonna say alleged, that they want to control the mayor's office, the city council, and the clerk's office. And that's terrible.
Well, when it came, and I don't know, I can't speak, with certainty for that, but I can tell you when we got what they call an add-on or walk-on resolution for the city clerk, it was presented by Councilman Murphy at the time, and it was a shock. Although in the charter coming up in January, we would be interviewing or we could apply, but it had not been talked about, I guess, with some of us. So it had been, when it was presented, I did state, I felt the process, by the way, it was brought to the city council was grimy and messy. And those were my words. And Councilman Murphy didn't like what I said, but as they say, I said what I said when it came to that. So I do feel she was forced out. I don't like the way they did it. And I'm quite sure, she's at the point she was ready to retire. There's just no respect for, I'm going to say, people in our community, people of color. Here you have a woman who is a pillar in our community, has always exhibited herself with class and dignity, and she couldn't get the respect from the community, that she has served. She's been a public servant. So that to me, I was angry. And I remember sitting next to her the day she came in and stated, and her 2 daughters were in the audience. And she stated that, she was going to retire September 30th. It bothered me because we have a council of 5 Black people, and we couldn't get 5 Black people to stick together or have a private conversation if you wanted something else done. They didn't do it. And when you get people who can be manipulated by other people, I have a problem with that. I have a very serious problem with that. Ms. Brown served her community, and they didn't even ask her for input for her job. When they created the job description, and they just did it. It was messy and grimy. It's like, and I'm going to stick on that. Well, messy and grimy.
Well, let me say this. I want to give kudos to the Flint branch of the NAACP and our president, Francis Gilchrist, for presenting to Miss Brown the Servant Award. And she got so many, and she was there. She didn't know she was going to get it. The people, the audience just clapped, and they honored her. You know, the city of Flint should gave a big, huge celebratory party for Inez Brown. 25 years of service as the clerk. She served in Don Regal's office. She had worked in government for many, many years. And so, but, you know, it was the forethought of the Flint branch of the NAACP to honor this servant. And so kudos to the Flint branch of the NAACP and our president, Francis Gilchrist, for doing that. And so she deserves honor. And you know, Tonya, I'd rather for you to give me a rose now while I can smell it than lace my casket with a spray of roses and I can't smell them. Give me my flowers while I can smell them. Speak kind words to me while I can hear it. Then when somebody did to get up there sending proclamation and resolution, and you hated the people. That's terrible. God hates every false way. Go ahead.
It's funny you mentioned flowers. As you know, I had worked for Mayor Neely, and upon him, when I worked for him, one of my jobs was he did not like City Clerk Inez Brown, and he told me he would not deal with her. It was my responsibility to deal with her. I'm not going to say, you don't deal with her. You respect her, and I absolutely adore her. And I remember we had a company, Folks Flowers, and when it came for his swearing in, the city council does not pay for the swearing in. It's the responsibility of the elected person coming in to pay for it. So there was a bill that was due to Folks Flower, which is small business, local florist, which done a beautiful job for work. You know, they always work, so they do a beautiful job, period. And when the bill came, the bill kept coming. He refused to pay the bill to Folks Flowers because he thought it would go to Miss Brown. And I had to go, you know, so folks were calling me because I have a commercial account with them, asking me, could I pay it? It's not my bill. I'm not the mayor. I wasn't sworn in. You know, I worked for the city. So he would not pay the bill and thought it was funny because they would send the bill to the city clerk. And I had to have a conversation with Miss Brown. And it was the most awkward conversation. I had to go there. I said, Miss Brown, I just want you to know this is not me. I said, I'm not. She says, no, I know it's not you. She says, I know it's not you. She said, but he needs to pay his bill. He needs to pay his bill into Old Folks Flowers. Folks does the flowers for everything that comes in the city hall. He didn't pay them for at least 6 months. And they were calling. They would mail a weekly invoice, and then they would call at least 2 times a week. And that's not how you treat small business, because you try to make a point that you don't like the clerk. It's not what you do. So we talk about vindictiveness. He's vindictive. He will set out to destroy a person. He will destroy your character, your integrity. He doesn't care. And we need a mayor that's going to be in the city that's going to be inclusive, to bring the city together. We now have the fire department split. It's split between the black firefighters and the white firefighters, all because of a decision that somebody made to go a different direction in regards to the 2 children who lost their lives in the fire.
Well, I'm a little different from you. I ain't gonna say it's a decision that someone made. Mayor Sheldon Neely made that decision. You know, the fire chief, police chief, city attorney, they're all appointees. They have no more power over each other than the other one. Mayor Sheldon Neely made that decision. And it was another bad decision that he made. And, you know, just saying that, I remember you said being vindictive. anybody that supported Weaver, and she was a sitting mayor. When he was elected, 90% of them, he has somewhat against them. And saying that, what about W.T. Stevens?
He didn't pay W.T. Stevens. The last figure I had received, City Administrator Clyde Edwards said it was like 400, I'm saying almost 500,000, but before it was almost 800,000. So I'm not understanding that discrepancy, but I'm looking into that. So he didn't pay W.T. Stevens. He didn't pay Big Brothers Big Sister. Me and him had several disagreements about Big Brothers Big Sister because it was the bowl-a-thon coming up also. And he refused to pay them because it was head by Rita Stanley, the wife of the late Mayor Woodrow Stanley, and that was his reason for not paying Big Brothers Big Sister. Me and him and I got to the point, we were having a conversation, me, him, and City Administrator Clyde Edwards, and I told Clyde, I said, I'm not asking him anymore. I said, Clyde is not going to pay it. He's made a point. He's drawn a line in the sand. He's not paying Big Brothers Big Sister. And Clyde said, he's got to pay. I said, he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. Took him over, I think, maybe, I don't know how long it took. They went without. He didn't pay McCree Theater. It took him a long time. I don't know if they ever got paid McCree Theater. And I remember seeing in February, I was off from work because I had gotten sick, and I had seen Commissioner Charles Winfrey, and he asked me about it. And I told him, I said, he's not going to pay it. You didn't support the right candidate, he felt. He didn't pay. It was the North Flint reinvestment for the supermarket. He wouldn't pay that, but that one was on the shelf. So if you supported, and he knew and had proof that you supported Dr. Weaver for mayor, it was not something that he was going to make you pay. And that's what he does. If you don't agree, then he makes you pay. And we look at the high turnover of talent that the people left the city of Flint. They're gone. We've lost so much talent that said they cannot work with this administration, that they left. When we look at Flint's talent and who's run these department heads, some of them, they don't know what they're doing. You got department heads don't show up to meetings. The finance, the CFO won't come to the meetings. And when he comes, he don't answer any questions, not a one. Then he'll flip you off, and then he's arrogant. Then he sends false letters and has other people in the departments to make up accusations that they feel they work in a hostile environment. When I have read the emails that he has sent to the auditing firms, and he's nasty to them, just nasty. The remarks that he's made to them.
Well, let me say this, Tonya. Fruit don't fall too far from the tree. Remember that. Fruit does not fall too far from the tree. When you got the head, bad attitude, no integrity, not honest, no character, it usually drips down. And if anybody had integrity, I guarantee you they wouldn't work there, or they wouldn't want to work there much too long. So,
Look at Joyce McClain. You look at our trash, we're paying $9 million more for trash. I'm not understanding that. Those numbers and figures, that you get a department head said he felt he worked in a hostile work environment. And he feared for his job. It's so much that has happened that we look in this, I've never seen it. I've never seen any municipality be run like this. Not ever. The service lines were replaced. W.T. Stevens is actually the company doing the service lines. They're repairing the service line. He went into this whole slanderous attack against them on the radio, on the news, attacking the quality of their work, attacking them as a company, and using them as an example, he stated. And guess who's doing the work now? W.T. Stevens. And again, they're ahead of schedule, and they move it. At that time, I think about 3 weeks ago, they had changed 13 service lines. They had explored over 50. They had been given almost 300 to look at. And what they were doing was moving so quick because they wanted to get it done. People were allowed to live. What happened in my ward, one person had lead levels at 21 parts per billion. That could have been
Wow.
2019 or 2020. But because he didn't want to employ W.T. Stevens, who's doing the work now, those residents were forced to live with having lead in their water. 21 parts per billion is higher than what EPA, I think it's 14 parts per billion. You want to make a point to a company because who they supported and allow residents to live in their homes with lead service lines.
Well, you know, Tonya, let me say this. I've been involved in Flint government. I'm the longest, no, let me correct that. Wilbur Papa Jared probably have been in more council meetings consistently.
And he's Effie's baby boy.
Effie baby boy. Wilbur Papa Jared, Effie's baby boy.
From St. John.
From St. John, than me. And I've been down there 55 years at least. And he just celebrated his 80th birthday. So he's been down there a long time. I remember, you know Dan Bogan?
Yes.
He was before we had the strong mayor. Dan Bogan was the what do you call him? City manager. I've been involved with every mayor plus 2 city managers in my lifetime. Every mayor. So I've been coming down there. I know city government. And I know that I have never in my life seen I mean, we had mayors that they didn't like black folk. We had police chiefs that they appointed. They would beat black folk up in the elevators. Y'all done heard it. If you ain't heard about it, ask some of the old timers about the elevators at the police department and the blood and stuff. Yet you could at least talk to them, but we had a black community that would fight. Them old guys, Papa Jared and them Beaver Turner, all them guys, they would fight. They would meet. Fred Robinson. They would meet, and they would Glenn Epps. You know, the names just keep reminiscing to me. They would fight, and we stand. Woody Eppley. We have open housing in the entire country because of what Woody Eppley, 3rd Ward City Council person, did and fought, and they turned the sprinkles on us on the city lot in front of City Hall to fight for open housing. So now you can stay at any hotel you want anywhere in the country. It happened right here in Flint.
You know, and if we look at a short amount of time, this is a 3-year term he had. So you have to look at how destructive and how much damage has been done. We now have a police department that is split. We have a fire department that is split with the personnel. We now have a city council that he's dividing. So when we look at we don't need another divider. We need someone who can bring the city, the people, the personnel, the council together. He's a divider. He can't bring the city together. Everything he touched, he has divided it at least by 2. Every single thing. And in city personnel, he divided it so tough that they gone and went to other municipalities. They took their talent where they appreciate them. You cannot be in leadership and not be able to bring the city together. And the fire department is split. You got problems in that police department, and we got problems in the city council because it's split too because of him.
Well, you know, you're right about that. You know, some people would be known as a divider in chief. Trump was known as a divider in chief. And we need unifiers in government. And so, you know, we got about a few minutes and we're going to go off Facebook. And that's why I'm supporting Karen Weaver for mayor. And, you know, I've been knowing her family for many, many, many years. As a matter of fact, her mother was Mrs. Marion Coates Williams. She was the first Black school teacher in the city of Flint history, the first Black. And I happened to work for her. And this was 40 years ago. Compensatory services. The follow, you had Head Start, and you had follow through. She was over the follow through. We had Dort School and Manley School. So I knew Karen's mother before I knew Karen. And she was a delightful person. And I think it's about 21 years ago, sometime this week, that she went on to glory. And she would always refer to me as Mr. D. And she could play the piano and sing, and she would cry. She loved those children, because those children were below the poverty guideline. They were poor children going to Manley, because you know you had the public housing out there, and Dort School. And she was very caring. So as I said, fruit don't fall too far from the tree. Her father, Karen's father, was a medical doctor, the first Black elected Flint Board of Education member, the first. He built the clinic, the Williams Clinic up on Stewart Street and North Saginaw Street. He built that. And her entire family, if they're not pharmacists, they're in the medical profession and different things. So she come from good stock. She wasn't around here trying to be mayor. She has a PhD from Michigan State University. And so I'm saying all that, but let me tell you this, and many don't know. Karen's father went down to a convention in Florida, Board of Education, and he got ill. And they took him to a white hospital. The white hospital would not accept him. Then they had to take him to a Black hospital, I don't know, 30 miles away. That's what happened to her. And subsequently, her father, he knew what was wrong with him, because remember, he was a medical doctor. And he died in Florida, left 3 small children. And Mrs. Williams raised those small children, very successful. And the one brother, Wendell, he has passed, but that's the kind of quality Mayor Weaver is. She's from good stock. And so I'm gonna let you have a few more words, Tonya, whatever you want to say, about 3 minutes, and we're gonna close out, because I'm gonna go out there and try to help Mayor Weaver get in office. That's what I'm gonna do. And those who got those absentee ballots, if you don't know how to vote for one thing, go to the space where it says mayor and color that in. If you can't do but one thing, find where it says mayor. Do that. Go ahead, Tonya.
Yeah, you tell the story and about her father. And when she told me that story, it is as if when she was still 7 again, and that happened, because she's driven. She's driven that even though she'll meet her parents again in heaven, she's driven to still, number one, she wants to still please them. Let them know that what they instilled in her morals and values, is what she's given to her children. And that story, when you say that, and she does, she came from loving parents who worked hard, and they instilled that in her and in her sister Ellen. But when we talk about why we're voting for Dr. Karen Weaver, I like to tell people, because she has a vision. And not only because she's a woman with a vision, but because she has a plan. She's a woman with a plan. She understands that the things that when she gets in for those first 100 days, She has a 100-day plan. She's going to go to work on, she has a plan for crime. She has a plan for blight. She has a plan for economic development. She has a plan for our opioid overdose crisis. She has a plan. We know that anybody who's going to be successful, you have to have a plan. She knows how to get the job done, and she's not saying she's up for the task. She knows what she's up against. She steers out of the water crisis, and she's going to help steer us back to getting our crime numbers down, getting off of the FBI and the crime list, and reporting real numbers. Our numbers aren't real. I was out to the 911 center. All your calls are not answered. We're the only municipality that has a letter of understanding that certain calls are not answered by the police.
That's terrible. You know, Tonya, let me say this. You talking about a plan. This old quote said, if you fail to plan, then plan to fail. If you fail to plan, then plan to fail. And you know, I hear a lot of people quoting this scripture, where there is no vision, the people perish. And what that interpretation is, it says, where there is no restraint, there is chaos. When you don't have any restraints, you have chaos. And, you know, we have to have, we don't need no more chaos. And, you know, just like a bank makes a river, if you take away a bank, you no longer have a river, you've got a flood. Yep, did y'all catch that? Just like a bank makes a river. Go down in these cities and countries that the banks, go down to New Orleans and find out when you lose the bank, you no longer have a river, but you have a flood. So again, I want to thank you kindly for coming on to my broadcast. Thank you, Facebook friends. Stay tuned next week. I want to tell you, don't forget, when's the date of election?
November 8th.
This is a quick question to Tonya Burns. See if she up.
Listen, I've been sharing for Dr. Weaver. Listen.
When is the day of the election?
November the 8th.
All right. Well, okay, here's another question. What time does the polls open?
7 o'clock.
What time do they close?
8 o'clock on the dot.
8 o'clock. And if you're in line, can you vote?
You can vote as long as you are in line.
All right. So we encourage you to take somebody to the polls or get your absentee ballot. Tonya, over 8,500 absentee ballots have been mailed out.
Well, people have been calling, asking me, you know, who to vote for and what to do.
Well, I'm telling them, call me, 810-275-5339. 810-275-5339. Before you vote for anything, if you live in the city, find where it says office of the mayor, nonpartisan, and color in where it says Karen Weaver. Don't make an X. Don't make a check, because your ballot will be spoiled. All right, I gotta let you go, Tonya. This 810 News Media Group, Mickey Jordan, thank you. And if you need his services, get your checkbook out and write him a check. Old Chinese proverb: good food ain't cheap, and cheap food ain't good. God bless you, and see you next week on The Truth Shall Make You Free. Bye now.
Peace.